Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now let the stories begin. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Celebration of You. And I get so excited every week. I mean, you all know this, right? I mean, half of the interviews I spend either in tears or covered in goosies. And by the way, I'll just kick off by saying to all of the listeners around the world, it's always a joy to hear from you. And I just want to say thank you for the incredible comments that are coming in and for the stories that are moving you and the stories that are making a difference for people in all different parts of this world. So thank you, and continue to send them in because it means the world to us. Today's guest, and you know, I get so excited. I always feel like it's a new best friend. With my show now 2 years in the making, I have a lot of new friends. And I just want you to know, this one is definitely a new best friend. So it is my honor and delight. Get ready. If you're out doing your morning run and listening to this, you might want to get ready to take some notes. And if you're sitting at doing a lunch and learn, I have guests that listen to the show that save this for their weekly lunch and learn. And they sit and listen to it in their office. Get ready to get out a piece of paper because I think you're about to hear some incredible wisdom. So to all of you, thank you for being here. And it is my delight. And because I love her name, I'm introducing you to my new best friend, Joy Chudacoff. Joy, thank you, my friend.
I am so delighted, Holly, to spend this time with you. We became fast friends recently, and I just love your energy and just felt so connected to you.
Well, we did. We just hit it off and we're like, oh, no, you can't move tables. We're not moving. We're going to be like together. Wherever you go, I'm going.
That's right. That's right. And as soon as we both found out that we each had a podcast, we said, well, you're going to be on my show. No, you're going to be on my show.
Exactly. So. Exactly. And we're doing it. So for everybody to know, I want to start with Joy is a guru. So let me just brag on you for a minute, my friend. You are a guru in the women entrepreneur space. You have mastered, and I can't wait to hear some of the tips and tricks, but you have really mastered the gift of helping women. And I love the way you said, Joy, earlier, the side hustle of helping women take what might have been a side hustle and turning it into a potentially multi-million-dollar business. And there's a lot of great stories of people and all the amazing things you've done. You also, and I get to be a guest on your show, and I'm so excited, you host a show that's now ranked as one of the top 100 business and career podcasts, and it's called She's Got Moxie. I just love that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a fun word, isn't it?
Oh, you got me at Moxie, just saying. So tell me about what you're doing right now. I got to brag on you, but tell us all about a day and a week in Joy's life, what you're passionate about.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to just tell you everything, Holly.
Do it.
So I'm a mom of two teens. So that just tells all your listeners a lot right there. A boy and a girl. And so I'm busy with that in addition to running my business, which is, as Holly said, helping women entrepreneurs who are out of the side hustle space. You know, you started a side gig and it's working. You know, the product is selling, the service is selling. You've got revenues coming in, but women start to scratch their heads on, okay, I realize now I'm at a different level of my business. What do I need to do next? So I'm spending a lot of time during my day in my office, and my office is in my home. That's the beauty of it. I set my business up so that I would be able to be here and have a lot of time with my kids as they were growing up. And if I'm not doing that, I'm typically interviewing someone for my She's Got Moxie podcast. We live in Pacific Palisades in California, and I'm about a half a mile from the beach.
Oh, thank you for that little nugget. All right.
Yeah. And I have a little 2-year-old mini Labradoodle. And so people around town can typically catch me out a couple times a day walking my dog. So that's really what we've got going on here. You know, we run retreats, as I know you do too, Holly, retreats for women entrepreneurs a few times a year. And so we're typically always working on getting ready for that. And you know what? It's all good. It's good.
It's great. And what I love that you just gave us, don't you? And I know everybody's loving this. How many of us today, even if you're working for a company, right? But you are still working from home. And I think, you you have to be able to be self-directed, self-motivated. But that's the joy in today's life. No pun intended, joy. I had to say that.
Yeah, it is. It's really a gift. And I feel so blessed every day, Holly, to be able to work from home. And it's funny because my husband, he doesn't, he's like, I don't know how you do that, because he goes to an office every day. And you know what? You do have to develop a structure system for yourself when you're working out of your house, especially for women, I think, because, the sink can be full of dishes and, you can have a lot of laundry if you have a family, but you've just got to put that aside during those hours when you're working on your business, right?
Absolutely. And that's where the really good time management and knowing, it's funny that you just brought this up. My husband and I were talking about it the other day, because I said, one of the things I had to learn early on having my own business and working from home, Joy, was I have to be able to have my office somewhere that it's not like right by the kitchen or the living room. It will be too easy for me to always run into the office. So, be setting boundaries even at home and how we establish ourselves in our environment. Right.
This is so true. You've really hit on something, and I think it's good for people to hear. My office is in a completely separate part of my house. And the other thing, for your women listeners, I think one of the things that women do sometimes last is hire that housekeeper. And, the way I look at that is, just as a little tip, is you're giving someone a job who really needs it. My housekeeper, Sylvia, who's been with me for, I think, 12 years, is here today. She's actually in another part of the house, cleaning the house. And I love her. She loves me. I make my protein shake. I make one for her. And, and we do our thing. I'm in my office doing my thing, and she's in her office doing hers.
And it's perfect. And, I'm so glad you brought that up, actually, because there is something, it's funny with all the work I do with women around the world. And it's amazing, no matter what level you are as an entrepreneur or as even a senior executive, for some odd reason, we feel guilty. And I don't know why. I mean, I've been there myself, giving ourselves permission to have someone help us take care of our home. And one of the greatest gifts I gave myself many years ago was realizing, Joy, that I'm giving somebody else a job that they actually love, tidying up and making sure everything is in pristine and perfect order. I also at the time was single with 2 children, and I'm like, I'm not going to spend my weekends cleaning toilets. My time's too valuable.
Yes.
Right. And I want to spend it with my kids. So we could spend a whole podcast on just this topic because it's huge.
Yeah, it really is. And it's time for women to really understand what their strengths are. And you may be someone who actually loves cleaning and find it to be cathartic. I know women and men who love that. But in order to really grow that business, drive that momentum, you have to have that specific time where you're business focused and, sort of put blinders on and not let anything interfere with that. Right?
Exactly. I mean, this could be part of our whole women giving themselves permission to take care of themselves in ways that we always feel we should be doing things for other people versus figuring out how to bring the best of you into this world.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Well, I am dying to know. So there's some tidbits and facts that we're going to get to. I want to take you, though. I want to hear, take me to the earlier days of Joy's life. There's a reason that you're so passionate about this. And maybe it was as a young girl, maybe it was in high school or higher education. I don't know. What was a pivotal moment for you, Joy, in your life that had a lot, maybe it was good, maybe it was bad, that has a lot to do with why you're on this mission now and why you're doing this?
It's a great question, Holly. Okay. So I'm going to try to make this story brief, but get to the high points. So I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur or in service to women. That was not, I went to college, I got out of college, I got a job. But here's what happened. And I think a lot of your listeners may really relate to this. I remember I was 28 years old. I was called into my boss's office. It was the holidays. And it was that time of the year where you're thinking either A, they're going to present you with a bonus for your great work, or they're going to tell you that the next calendar year you're going to get a raise. And I went in. They told me how great they felt so great to have me on the team, on the staff. I was head of their marketing division. I worked in the medical field here on the business side of it in Los Angeles. And they proceeded proceeded to tell me, Holly, that there was going to be no raise and there was going to be no bonus for anyone in the department, including me. And I was earning, I remember the words. They said, "You're earning at top of the pay scale."
Oh.
So I went home over that holiday, and I was just devastated because, and here's the reason why, is I was renting the loft in my apartment, my 1-bedroom apartment, to another gal. And Holly, I wanted the apartment to myself. I wanted this woman to move out. She was a nice girl.
Of course she was.
She was a nice girl, but I just wanted her to the heck out of there because I wanted the place to myself.
Yes.
But guess what? I had a problem. She paid me $500 a month for that loft. So just fast forward, I didn't do anything right away because I didn't know what to do. But then a piece of paper crossed my desk one day that was supposed to go to the accounting department. I was in the marketing department. And so that's my first tip and clue to your listeners today. Always be curious. So I opened up the piece of paper. I saw that it was for somebody was questioning a piece of equipment that the surgeons use all the time in all their medical procedures. I saw how much was being charged. I saw how much the insurance was paying. And I thought, wow, this is really profitable. And I investigated how much it cost to buy the equipment. And lo and behold, about 4 months later, a business was born.
Really?
I started a business marketing those pieces of equipment, but I didn't quit my day job. I want your listeners to hear that. I wasn't making enough in the beginning to quit my job. I only wanted to make enough. My goals were so high, Holly. I only wanted to make enough at $500 so I could ask the roommate to move out.
That was your why. You know how we talk about you got to have your why? That was your why.
That was my why. Yeah. So nothing really romantic about that. But that was my why. And so I made that money and I asked her to move out. And then I started to really you start thinking when you have a little success, you think you can have a little more success, right? And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I can get a new car, And so this went on, and 18 months later, I quit my job. And that company, became very successful. I had it for about 12 years. It became an international company, not because of that equipment, but because I kept adding other lines into the company that people overseas wanted in Europe. And then I ended up selling that company 12 years later.
Wow.
Because it didn't work for me anymore. I had my first child at 40, my second at 42. So for your listeners who are thinking, I'm 39 and I still don't have a baby, you have time. And I sold it because it was a business that required me to travel constantly, Holly, and it wasn't conducive to motherhood.
Well, and I love that you just mentioned, can I just say thank you for mentioning that you did have children later in life. And I love that not everybody, we need to hear that because some people go, oh, it's too late, right? Or it's like, it's always too late to dream. And I'm like, it's never too late to dream again.
Yeah.
And you've been able to have and create a life that serves and fits you, my friend.
Thank you. And so just to tie it all up, how I came to work with women entrepreneurs is I took some time off after I had my son. That's my oldest child. I had sold my business, so I had a nice cushion. I had money in the bank. And about 6 months into it, something funny happened, Holly. I realized that I couldn't be at home with my son all the time. Not that I was bored, and I felt so grateful to have a child at 40 because I wasn't sure if I could. But at the same time, I was really missing the business world. Mm-hmm. I was missing those conversations. And, I started reading the statistics. I started looking around and I thought, you know what? I have knowledge that could help women be more successful in business. And so I went back to school. I got a coaching certification and I started very small, because my children were small. It was just really a part-time side hustle and it really took off and it's just grown tremendously over the last 13 years.
Oh, and I don't want anybody to miss something, Joy. You just mentioned in passing, and I'm just going to give this to you right now, is that I think, and I want this to be for men and women, today more than ever, there's a lot of men that stay home as well as the women, right? That are staying home to be with the child. And it's usually the decision is, who's in the better position to be providing. It's not about gender anymore. And the reason I bring that up is that I was that person as well that stayed home for a short time with 2 little children. And you think you're the only one that's out there going, I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. I should be so happy right now. And I can only do so many loads of laundry. I can only clean so many diapers.
Yes.
And you begin to go, am I getting depressed? And yet I felt so guilty because I'm so blessed. And it really messed with my head. And I was missing using my intellectuals and doing something that was always about starting businesses and always about going after things. And so I'm just going to leave it at that, because I will share my story with you on your show that no one's ever heard. And I think you just gave people permission to know it doesn't matter. We're all put here for a higher calling, and your children, as mine and many people's children out there, they're learning and gaining so much by the choices we make, and going after and starting a business as an entrepreneur and raising kids. They're seeing what that looks like and how cool that is, that you never settled.
Right. So true.
I just love that you brought that up. You just made my day, because I think that's what people need to hear. And on that note, you then sold your business and started taking all your wisdom. And Joy, that's another piece I don't want people to miss. There's something you have a lot of expertise in, gang, and maybe you don't even realize it because you've been doing it for so long. So tell us, how did you know, wow, I could turn around and go do this for others? Can you give me a moment, or what was that made you go, God, I've got something and I got to give this to the world?
Well, it's some of it was just from talking with women. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes it was talking with girlfriends, but I was home with my son. And what do we do with our young kids every day when we're at home? We take them to the park, right? You put them in the stroller, you take them to the park. And I would meet women who were in the park, moms in the park, who were having conversations or having dreams, as you were talking about earlier. They were dreaming of starting a business or doing something on the side, because they too, didn't feel like they were finished, now that they'd had their child and they'd made the decision to stay home, and they were blessed to be able to stay at home, right? And I think women can have these, very guilty feelings, just as you talked about. And I started seeing, like, the writing was on the wall. I feel like I'm a very spiritual person. So I felt like Spirit was trying to tell me, Joy, you have a gift. You have something to share. There are so many women sitting on the pulse of an idea, but they're not taking action because they can't see the way forward. Right? And because I had started my first business while having a full-time job, I understood how to do something while you're doing something else. But except this something else right now was motherhood for women. Because I think a lot of times we look at, well, how I'm doing this. So if I'm doing this, how do I find the time or carve out the space, or how do I make time to do that? Right. And I was very good at helping women figure that out, in addition to, what are the first steps you can take to bring your idea to the market and get it noticed. Right.
Well, and you are, I just have to brag on you again. You are kind of the guru of having the X-ray vision of knowing, right? You can see through that and just see the diamond of what needs to happen. And that is why your business is thriving. You mentioned something to me before we started the interview, and I'm excited to hear the nuggets of wisdom. So, and I'm sure you have many stories of all different types of women who have started small businesses, part-time, to those that have gone to very big businesses. But you mentioned something about what you need is very different when you're going to take a business from, say, 0 to 300,000 versus 350 to $1 million. Can you share with us, give me some insight into that, Joy? What does that really mean? And what are those nuggets of wisdom or advice?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Holly. So first of all, let me just talk about this first phase of when you've got an idea or for a product or service, and you're starting a business. It's typically in most cases, unless you've got venture capital, it's just you. Because you're not making the money to afford to hire a team or staff or people to help you. So you're processing the credit cards, you're doing the social media posts, you're talking to the clients, you're doing everything. And then if you've got something that gets traction that people want, very quickly you start to see, the cash rolling in, and you want to grow and you want to keep going. And so here's the next juncture, and here is the hard part. Wow, Holly, you've asked me such a great question.
I love it. I love it. You're going.
Yeah,
keep going.
Yeah, I'm going. And then I'm seeing these other things I want to say. We'll see if we have time. But you have to become something different, or you have to change the way you do things in order to take your business from a side hustle into really a business that can really become an empire, or whatever it is you decide that you want it to become. What do I mean by that? Entrepreneurs, we're renegades. Mm-hmm. We are renegades. Mm-hmm. We shoot from the hip. We're creatives. And so when we get to a certain level where we can't manage it anymore, we have to actually put the brakes on that renegade part of us, because now we have to give things to someone else to do, which means we have to then, instead of practicing being more of a renegade, we have to learn how to become a leader. Mm-hmm. Because you have to start leading other people and inspiring them around your vision. And all my clients that I work with who've made this leap, their income grows, their revenues grow in leaps and bounds, where they actually understand that it's almost like you take on that role as a mom, again, that nurturing role as a mom, to nurture the people who are sharing your vision, who are helping you to grow your company. That's a whole different mindset than that woman who's just starting all by herself, growing her business as a grassroots level, right?
Yes. Oh boy. And that's a big transition and a paradigm shift that's easier for some than others.
It really is. And the women that I've worked with who've mastered it and who have really worked on their leadership abilities to communicate the vision clearly to a team and not micromanage and let people, do their work and have play their role. Their businesses are growing. And guess what? They're not nearly as stressed as that business owner who will not let go, who continues to micromanage, who does what I call drive-by delegation.
I love that. Wait, that was good.
Well, I hired her yesterday. Doesn't she know what to do? So I hear that a lot from clients. It's like, well, not exactly. So, you need different skill sets. You need to be different as a woman in terms of your productivity. This is a time now where women have to really look at, what am I really the best at, right? Where is my genius?
Yes.
And when you unlock that, the real key is to stay in your genius and let other people around you support you and work in their genius. Right.
You're speaking to my heart, friend. All the work I do around the world about strengths, it's really about, those are the greatest teams and organizations, is when you can figure out how to bring everyone's strengths to the table and everyone is playing at their very best.
Yes. And if we have time, and I won't dive deeply into it, but I do want to say that women at this level, there are what I call these unconscious emotional triggers that can sabotage them really getting out of that side hustle and really going on to that 7-figure business. And I've seen it over the last 13 years. I've studied it, and I can see it. I can see it like way before it's even my clients or the women I've talked to even start talking about it, because it's just something that's happening so frequently.
I want to hear what some of these are. We have all the time in the world, Joy. It's our show.
It's our show, and we're going to do it the way we want.
Exactly.
So I'll just briefly mention what the 5 are. And I actually have, I actually did an episode on this on my podcast, but let me just tell you what they are, because I think your listeners are really going to love this. And they're not in any particular order, but there's one called, I call it the abdication of power. When we as women, when we become business owners and we start bringing people onto our teams, or maybe we have a business partner. I've seen this a lot in my work over the years. We start to give up our power to other people, to our assistants, to our team members, to our partners, and we feel powerless. We feel silenced, and we shouldn't be doing that. And there are things that we can do to stop this abdication of power. But and companies becoming, companies starting to become something that you didn't even want, but you've allowed other people to take over and start making decisions for you. Another big one, and this one's huge. This is probably the biggest one, is unsupportive family.
Oh, okay. We could spend a whole show on that.
This could be a whole show, yes. And so it's really, it's about arriving home after a day of meetings, and you see, a sink full of dishes and the entire family sitting around on their devices, on their phones. No one's moved to think about dinner. I love the one I had recently where my dog was sick, and it was clear that no one was going to move to call the vet.
The dog's,
man. So. Women then become what? We become exhausted from trying to do it all.
Yes.
We try to be everything for everyone. And this, I see this as the biggest reason why women who are doing fantastic in their businesses, they've hit the 6-figure mark, but they can't go beyond that because they are not setting boundaries around these unsupportive family issues.
Can I ask you something before?
Yeah.
And because this is huge, and I think you hit on something that can go way beyond even the entrepreneur. What advice do you give them? How do you empower them to be able to go have the conversation so that these family members understand what's happening, right? Without just taking all your aggression and getting mad and starting to throw things.
I've done that. Doesn't work.
I know. Me too.
I love this, and I'm glad you asked me because it's pretty simple, and I don't mean to minimize it, but here's where women really need to own their worth. And the first thing you want to do is you schedule a family meeting and you set the rules. You say, hey, this is, I know, let me back up. When I say schedule a family meeting, I'll give you a perfect example. Every Sunday, we have our family dinner. We have a thing where we have a family dinner and we always watch 60 Minutes together. Unless it's a sports thing. We're a big sports family. So obviously the NBA finals take precedence over 60 Minutes. But at that family dinner, we go over the week. So I can say to my husband at that dinner and my kids, oh, by the way, I'm out on Wednesday night for a dinner meeting or something like that. So somebody needs to work on getting food in the house. The kids have chores. They take out the trash. They set the table. They clear the table. It's not just for mom to do. This just happened last night. We had dinner. I looked at my husband. I said, Jenna needs to be registered for an online class for the summer, and the dinner dishes need to be done. I'm happy to do either one of those. Which one would you like to do?
I love how simple and profound that was.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So it's just talking about what needs to be done. And obviously you need to have a supportive partner or supportive spouse. And I do. He's always been very supportive and really appreciated and acknowledged my independence. But we talked about it earlier, Holly. Here's another solution. Hire household help.
Yes.
Give someone a job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Give someone a job. I love that. And then it's just about, again, it's setting those boundaries. Mm-hmm. Setting those boundaries about what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, and empowering other members of the family to help you.
Absolutely. And do you know what's funny that you say that? I just was in a conversation, Joy, like sometime in the last few weeks, somewhere when I was on the road, and I heard something that just really struck a really good chord with me. This person was sharing with me, and I wish I could give you details and I just don't remember everything, but it was about how every night a different family member is given, it's their job to plan the menu. And this is for the teenagers too. Mm-hmm. They get to decide the menu. They get to make the list of what's needed, depending on who's in town, because both mom and dad, everybody travels a bit, who's going to own doing the shopping. And then they prepare it and they plan it around everybody's schedules. So even what you're saying, you may never realize that the greatest gift you just gave one of your kids is to identify they have a passion for cooking and they go on to be a chef.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I love this. Yes. I so agree with this. And I'll tell you something else that it does, because I have a son and a daughter. What I think is happening on a bigger scale, and I'd love to see this happening in families all across America or the world, is my son doesn't look at me as just someone who can do work inside the home. He realizes I have a business, and that it's okay for a man to do dishes or a man to do laundry because he sees my husband doing it. The other thing is for my daughter. She sees that a woman can do anything she wants and still be a mom. And so it's taking out these roles, these stereotypes in my family where, you know what, this is a chore that needs to be done. And you know what, it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, who's going to do it? You know?
Totally. And when I think about the big buzzword right now, and I'm seeing it a lot in the global corporate space, but the unconscious bias, right? We're seeing a lot of work around that and diversity and inclusion. And yet it goes right to the home. What you just said is we need to be as the parents or the aunts and uncles. If you have children in your influence, what are you doing to help break some of those paradigms and giving them the opportunity to know this is not a gender role, right? This is about who's willing to do the cooking, who's going to do the laundry. I mean, I'll tell you, and I don't know that I've ever mentioned this on a show, Joy, but I actually hate to cook. Hate it. Never enjoyed it. My kids will tell you, like, they'll laugh and go, oh yeah, when mom was single, all she ever made was nacho casserole. It was either nacho casserole. That's all they got. I mean, my boys still laugh. And yet my husband, Steve, loves to cook. I love to do laundry. So when we're both at home, it works perfect. Well, I'm really good at picking the wine to pair with the dinner. I just want you to know that part.
Me too.
Yes. And yet finding that common, right? Like, we're both entrepreneurs. We're both very, very busy. And yet finding, I love doing laundry. He hates it, Yeah. He loves to cook. So this is not rocket science, gang. And so for everybody listening, and I love that you just brought up, what I love is one more trigger, and then I want them to have to reach out to you to find out more about all of this great stuff that you do. So give us one more trigger. You gave us 2 of the 5. Throw out a third.
So one more is, I think I'll throw out, is judgment and criticism. Because, women tend to take things that other people say more seriously and take it to heart more so typically than men do. I see it in my own kids when they're interacting with their friends, how my son just brushes it off, and my daughter, is destroyed for days if somebody said they didn't like her hair. So,
seriously, yeah.
And so we tend to really care deeply about what others think of us. And there's also something that I call peer suppression. This is huge for holding women back in getting ahead in business. And that is, let's say you've joined a networking group, you've started your side hustle, and you've got 5 people in that group that you really like and enjoy, and you've gotten very close. You always sit together. And then all of a sudden your business takes off. Your business starts to grow by leaps and bounds because you're onto something big. But guess what? You don't want to share it now with those 4 people that you see every month at the networking group, because they're lamenting about how things are not going great. Their business isn't growing, and so you can't share it with them. You hide it, or you also are afraid to sort of break out and break into meeting those other people that you need to connect with that could help you take your business to a whole new level of success, because you're being suppressed subconsciously by your peers, right?
Yes. Wow. I've never actually thought of it just the way you said. I'm having an aha moment.
Well, it's, as I said, it's subconscious.
Yeah.
We don't even realize some of these things that are triggering our actions, Holly. I mean, I've really just discovered all this in just really over the last 13 years of working over and over. I can just spot it coming now, because of my work. I'm, doing it every day.
Oh, okay. You really hit on another one. Wow. I can't even fathom, right? The brilliance, the heart and soul that you're bringing to your clients, Joy. And as you were saying that, I was just thinking about, it's so true. And I think this is a great time for everyone listening. And I'm very passionate about what I'm going to bring up again. And Joy just took me right there. And that is, be very intentional about the people you spend your discretionary time with, because the people you spend your time with are an indication of who you will become. Pick and choose people that lift you up and don't deplete you. And that can be very difficult for people when they have to look in the mirror and face that, wow, I'm feeling out of obligation. I'm spending this time on weekends, or I'm meeting this friend out for coffee or a drink, or I'm spending time with family members that are so negative and depressing. And you need to set your own boundaries, and you need to be really intentional about giving yourself permission to be around people that bring out the best in you. Because trust me, when you're with people that bring out the best of you, you're bringing out the best of them.
Absolutely. Well said. I love that. Yeah, so true. Oh. Boy, you really shared some great gold nuggets with your listeners there. That is so true.
Well, you opened it up, girlfriend. You know what? I just want you to know. And why do you think? So let's talk about how when you and I met, it was like an instant energy and synergy. And you are drawn to people that are magnetized by a similar energy. Joy, not only do I love her name, it was this energy and this positive energy. And I, Holly, choose joy. And I know I told you that. I said, that's my mantra for the year in my life. And yet it's so true. I'm really picky who I spend my time with and how I spend it. And I think what you just said about peer suppression, if we started to think about elevating people and realizing that we can celebrate people, as to the name of my show, The Celebration of You, at the end of the day, this world is a better place. And you're networking with amazing people that you're choosing to go be with and not afraid to bring up, hey, can I share with you something great that happened? That's what great friendships and great networking should be.
Yes. Yes. And it's so interesting. Gosh, this is going so deep, because when you realize that you need to make those new connections to take your business to another level, if you have that energetic, I want to help, I want to prop you up, I want to support you, I want to connect you type of personality, which I know you do, Holly. And when you have that type of personality, what your peers, the peers who may become jealous and who may be a little bit, oh gosh, look at her. She's there and I'm here. And there's that jealousy that goes on. What happens is you turn around and you extend your hand in a way to bring them up, because, every day when I wake up, I have in my gratitude, I'm always saying, I need to make one connection today for somebody. And every day I'm always trying to connect people together so that they can either work together, maybe they complement each other in some way. I really spend time in my day thinking about connecting others. And so by me getting out of that peer suppression years ago and continuing to reach out and meet other people, I'm bringing other people along with me because I'm sharing those contacts. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you're lifting. You're bringing people up versus letting people bring you down. And yes. And you can just see it as a visual, right? And if they want to be lifted, it's their choice. If you're going to go and give them a hand and lift them, then it's their choice if they want to take the lift. If they want to continue, and my mantra is I choose to not live in woe is me. It's wow is me, Joy. And when people choose to live in still their victim mentality and you're offering a hand and they don't really want it, they'd rather just woe is me. I have very quickly realized how to put on my antennas and graciously walk away. Yeah. Because you're offering, and if they want it, you're going to give them all you got.
Yes.
Right? And that's, this is why when we met, I'm still going back to just picturing when we met. I'm just going, no, you can't move tables. No, you got we're going to stay here.
We're not moving. We're staying right here. We are breaking the rules and proud of it.
Oh my goodness. And God, we could go on for hours. And I do want to get close to wrapping this up. I just want to ask you, it's a question I like to ask a lot of my guests. And, so take me back to your young 20-year-old self. Maybe she was 25 years old. What advice, Joy, would you give your younger 25-year-old self based on who you are now and what you know now in today's world and where you are? What advice would you give her?
Wow, that's such a powerful question. Okay, I think the first thing that comes to mind is, when I was 25 years old, I believe, Holly, I was more of a yes person. So if you asked me for something, even though I wouldn't have the bandwidth to do it for you. I wouldn't have time. It would completely have been difficult for me to do. I would always say yes because I wanted everyone to like me. And so what I would say to my 25-year-old self, which is something that I've learned, is embrace the word no.
I love no.
Okay. Embrace the word no. It didn't happen for me until I became in my 40s. And then the word no just started rolling off my tongue, so that's the first thing. I think the second thing is, from my 25-year-old self, is ask more for what you want. Because, I was just reading a statistic in the New York Times recently that a woman wants to feel 100% secure that she can do something before she'll say yes or even ask. And a man only has to feel 60% ready.
Totally. There's so many studies like that coming out. Powerful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say ask for what you want, because I had a great mentor in my early 30s who said to me, Joy, no doesn't mean no. No just means no today. And so he taught me that ask for what you want. And if they say no, that's okay. You can ask them again tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. And I think those are the two, embrace the word no, ask for more of what you want. And we've really already talked about it. And that is, please, please eliminate the toxicity in your life and surround yourself with people who champion you.
Absolutely. And if you can learn that early in life, and that comes with, it kind of goes hand in hand with embrace the no. By saying yes to even young people listening to this, the peer pressures that are there today, in your gut when you know you shouldn't be hanging out with this group. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
And we're saying yes. And it's like, say yes to saying, I don't need that. And, God, we could just, I think we might have to, we're going to do a part 2. It's going to be on your show. So when we go to, and I love the name of your show. So everybody, I'm going to let Joy tell you how to learn more about her and all. Get ready. Start listening to She's Got Moxie, because I'm going to be on that show soon. And I love that name. Something about it. And you do have Moxie, girlfriend. So tell us how everybody that got to listen to you can learn more about you, and if they want to reach out and ask you questions.
Yeah, sure. So you can, our company website is smartwomensolutions.com, smartwomensolutions.com. I'm on all the social media channels, but I really do love my tribe on Facebook. So you can also find me at just my name, Joy Chudacoff, on Facebook. And my podcast is She's Got Moxie on iTunes, and it's on all the channels. It's on Android also. Google Play. Thank you.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. And that's how you can reach us. And if you want to talk with me directly about anything I shared today, if it struck a chord, you can just reach out to my assistant at Kathy with a K, Kathy at smartwomensolutions.com.
I love it. And I love the name Smart Women Solutions. And, for anybody out there that might have that little side hustle going on and you're ready to take it to the next level, or maybe you're sitting there at home, you're still dreaming and percolating and telling yourselves all the reason you don't have the time to do this little burning desire in your heart. It's time to stop thinking about it. It's time to send an email. And you all know I'm an entrepreneur and I'm passionate about helping people get over the hump of stepping into faith and out of fear. And Joy is a guru at doing this for you women. So please don't take it lightly and reach out to her. Joy, thank you, my friend, for being here. Thank you for being in my life. And I can't wait till we connect again.
Yeah, Holly, I'm so excited to have you on the show, and we'll keep everybody posted when that is. And you know what? What a gift to have met you. I feel so blessed. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's a mutual blessing. Have a great rest of the day. And thank you, listeners, for being with us today. Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly, though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.